Chapter 6, The Hidden Truth. The moment the attackers were gone, the silence became deafening. The only sound was Sophia's ragged breathing as she clutched her arms, her gaze fixed on the unconscious men sprawled across the alley. She didn't say anything at first, and neither did Leo. He could feel her fear, not of the men, but of him. "You're bleeding," she said finally, her voice trembling. Leo glanced down at his arm. A thin gash stretched from his shoulder to his wrist, oozing blood. He hadn't even noticed it. Pain was secondary to the rush of adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "It's nothing," he said, brushing it off. "Are you okay?" Sophia nodded, but her eyes betrayed her unease. What? What was that, Leo? The way you moved, the way you fought. It wasn't human." He didn't answer, unsure of what to say. He had already told her part of the truth, but now it felt like even that wasn't enough. How could he explain the part of himself that wasn't just different, but dangerous? The part that had wanted to do more than just stop the attackers? The part that had wanted to destroy them? Before he could respond, Sophia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands, her brow furrowing as she read the screen. "What is it?" Leo asked. "It's an address," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Someone just sent me a text with an address." Leo's instincts flared. "Who sent it?" "I don't know. There's no name, just a number I don't recognize." "Don't go," he said immediately. "It's a trap." Sophia hesitated, her lips pressing into a thin line. What if it's not? What if it's someone trying to help? "It's too dangerous," Leo insisted. "You've already been targeted once tonight. You can't risk it." But Sophia shook her head, her resolve hardening. "I need to know what's going on, Leo. I need answers. And if this address can give them to me, I have to go." Leo opened his mouth to argue, but the look in her eyes stopped him. She wasn't going to back down. He recognized the determination in her expression. It was the same look he had seen in the lioness who had raised him, the look of someone who wouldn't be swayed. "Fine," he said reluctantly, "but I'm coming with you." The warehouse. The address led them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The building loomed over them like a forgotten relic, its windows shattered, its walls streaked with graffiti. The air was thick with the scent of rust and decay. Sophia hesitated at the entrance, glancing back at Leo. He gave her a small nod, his senses on high alert. He could feel the tension in the air, the way the shadows seemed to shift and writhe. Something about this place felt wrong. They stepped inside, the door creaking loudly as it swung open. The interior was dark, the only light coming from a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. In the center of the room was a table, and on the table was a file. Sophia approached it cautiously, her footsteps echoing in the empty space. She picked up the file, her hands trembling as she opened it. Her eyes widened as she scanned the contents. "What is it?" Leo asked, stepping closer. "It's about me," she said, her voice shaking. "It's a file on me." Leo frowned, glancing over her shoulder. The file contained pages of documents, birth records, school transcripts, medical reports. But there was something else, something that made his stomach twist. There were photos of her, taken from a distance, photos of her at the shelter, at the park, at her apartment. Someone had been watching her for a long time. "This doesn't make sense," Sophia said, her voice barely audible. "Why would someone—" A sharp click echoed through the warehouse, cutting her off. Leo's body tensed, his eyes darting to the source of the sound. A door on the far side of the room had opened, and a figure stepped through. It was the man in the suit. The revelation. "Good evening," the man said, his voice smooth and calm. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I see you found the file. Good." "Who are you?" Sophia demanded, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this?" The man ignored her, his gaze shifting to Leo. "You're quite the specimen, aren't you? I've been following your exploits for some time now. Fascinating." Leo's hands clenched into fists. "What do you want?" The man tilted his head, his smile widening. "The same thing I've always wanted. To understand, to study, to control." Leo took a step forward, his body coiled like a spring. "If you think I'm going to let you—" "Oh, I'm not here for you," the man interrupted. His gaze shifted back to Sophia, his expression turning almost predatory. "I'm here for her. Sophia froze. Me? Why now? You really don't know, do you, what the man said, his tone almost mocking. All this time, and you've been living in ignorance. It's almost poetic. Know what? She demanded, her voice rising. What are you talking about? The man reached into his pocket, pulling out a small vial of clear liquid. He held it up, the light from the bulb reflecting off the glass. This, he said, is the key to everything. It's why you're here, Sophia, why you've always been here. Sophia stared at the vial, her face pale. I don't understand. The man's smile turned cold. You were part of an experiment, my dear. A very successful one, I might add. You're not just an ordinary woman. You're something more, Dikao. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. What are you saying? I'm saying, the man said, that she's not entirely human. The twist, the words hung in the air, heavy and surreal. Sophia shook her head, her voice trembling. That's not true. That's impossible. Is it? The man said, arching an eyebrow. Think about it. Haven't you always felt different? Haven't you ever wondered why you're drawn to the shelter? To the animals? Why they trust you so easily? Sophia's breathing quickened. That doesn't prove anything. The man chuckled, a low, menacing sound. Oh, but it does. You see, Sophia, you're the result of years of research, a hybrid, if you will, part human, part something else, something primal. Leo felt the ground shift beneath him. He looked at Sophia, searching her face for any sign of recognition, of denial. But all he saw was confusion and fear. You're lying, she said, her voice breaking. You're lying. Am I? The man said. He set the vial on the table, his gaze challenging. You're welcome to find out for yourself. Sophia stared at the vial, her hands trembling. Leo could see the conflict in her eyes, the way she fought to make sense of what she was hearing. But before she could move, the man turned and walked toward the door. This is just the beginning, he said over his shoulder. You're more important than you realize, Sophia. And sooner or later, you'll have to face the truth. And with that, he was gone. The aftermath. Sophia sank to the ground, her hands clutching the edge of the table. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes wide and unfocused. Leo knelt beside her, his hand hovering near her shoulder. Are you okay? He asked softly. She didn't respond. Her gaze was fixed on the vial, her mind racing. Finally, she whispered, Do you think it's true? What he said? Leo hesitated. I don't know, but whatever happens, you're not alone. Sophia looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. What am I, Leo? He didn't have an answer. All he knew was that the world they thought they understood had just been turned upside down. And whatever came next, they would have to face it together. End of chapter 6.